Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. I'm Gav, that's Keith, and this is Transfer Talk, Keith. Transfer links
Ooh,
to Liverpool. We're going to do a show later in the week, which will be transfers around the league, where we'll talk about all other clubs and everything. But just today, it's all about Liverpool. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Keith, from the very start. Most of this stuff was passing me by. I had to go and look at it today because I'm like, lads, the fella's isn't even in the door yet. We're signing about 11 players. What's going on? But there is names out there. We we were saying it from show one, Keith, aren't we? We haven't a breeze.
yeah,
If any insider info, which there's never any of, there's no inside info. Don't believe that. Let's get it out of the way
just to
quickly.
be clear,
There
get
is
cards on the
no
table here.
inside info anywhere about Liverpool Football Club, so we won't pretend to have any. But there's names being floated about, and we'll humour the transfer situation, and we'll talk about them. If you're in the chat, please hit the like if you're in watching. You're very welcome. It is a members show, and if there's any names you'd like to see going to Liverpool, or any names that interest you, or we can just talk about players, we do that as well. So I'm going to start with Somerville off
Jimmy
Leeds.
Somerville,
Jimmy
Communards,
Somerville,
Bronski B.
yeah,
What a singer
him,
he was.
him.
Yeah,
Um, linked a couple of
Crescencio Somerville.
yeah, Crescencio. What a nice name. Linked to Liverpool a couple of
What is
weeks
his
ago
name?
after Arnie Slot was announced as Liverpool manager, because I think he was this fella at Feyenoord at one stage, probably was. Um, yeah, I think I know
I think
AZ
he was
Alkmaar.
linked with him. I think
AZ
the
Alkmaar.
yeah.
So he's linked. Good player. Seen him a couple of times this season. Um, he's linked because of the slot stuff, and then of course Leeds don't come up. I think he will get a move to the Premier League this summer. I don't think he's going to give Leeds another year in the
No,
Championship. I think he's at the kind of height of his powers when it comes to transfer
he's the
value and stuff.
championship player of the year.
Yeah. Um, does he make any sense to Liverpool for you?
No, something you touched on there, Gav, was the nobody has a fucking clue, and I think the links that we're seeing sort of uh, bear that out because we're being linked with a lot of Dutch lads and we're being linked with a lot of lads that don't really make much sense. And look, Somerville, I think, is one that maybe does have a bit of legs in it, just in the sense that I've no doubt that Arne Slot likes him. But whether we like him or not, and that's another thing for what we want to do. Look, as I said, he's the championship player of the year. He's done good numbers in the championship. It's a big step up to take, but it's the type of signing I think that FSG like. You know what? I think he's 22, Somerville. Maybe
I
I'm
think
wrong.
he just. My thing with this is he's Dutch, right? Fair enough.
Yeah,
That's where you're going to get the link. But I don't. And he's Championship Player of the Year. But when I look at him, I think to myself, we have a fella in Fabio Carvalho who seems like a very similar player to him.
yeah,
You know, that
yeah.
sort of way. So are we going? I get the links and all that, and I get he will get a move to the Premier League. I'm convinced of it. I
Kev
think,
throws in there that he thinks Somerville will replace Elise at Palace, and that's a good shout. You
yeah,
know, maybe
yeah.
that's
That is probably, and that's the sort of stuff we need on Thursday night, Kev. Ashley says should make Gav use his full name, which is Crescencio Gilbert Silverio Chiro Somerville.
you done well there. Well done.
Yeah, I know.
I
Jeez, I did
thought
do
you might
well,
have
didn't I?
slipped up on a couple of them.
No, Crescencio Gilbert Silverio Chiro Somerville.
Love it.
What a name.
Nice.
Ashley, see, Ashley's, treading weird ground now because she's on a show tomorrow night with me and Robbie, and the whole thing is nothing to do with football. It's basically we'll answer any question you have. So that can be football, digestive biscuits, beer,
Yeah.
your favourite humming
Actually,
noise.
on the spot and got to name Somerville's full name then when she doesn't have her
Yeah.
front her.
So actually prepare yourself for tomorrow night because you know how the questions are going to go. And when I go off on a tangent on a random show, we could end up anywhere. But it is myself, Ashley, and Robbie tomorrow from 10. Another member show tomorrow night. But we have a player in Fabio Carvalho who plays off that left hand side. He's not the biggest in the world. He's not he's not the biggest built. He's not the strongest. He's pace. He's an over goal. He's a really good record at whole actually since he went
Yeah.
there. Um,
I think
so
Somerville's numbers are a lot better. I think Somerville does have that sort of.
he has
I
that
think
full
he has that.
season.
You know, the way when Mane and Salah came. Now, I'm not comparing them with them, but they were doing good and we're ready to take that step. Maybe they see Somerville as that, but I think Carvalho's done well there. That whole, the thing I have with this transfer window, Gav, is that no one has a clue. Do you know what I mean? The fact that Michael Edwards is back there, and we know at the end of his tenure, everything was getting shut down. There wasn't much leaks coming out, so the links coming in, it could be all paper talk, that sort of thing. And we don't know what Slot wants, so maybe Slot's been not being told, but maybe the agreement there is, look, we have a lot of these players like Carvalho that'll come back into the squad, like Tyler Moore, and do you have to get something out of them? Who knows? But Carvalho might find it easier, to fit into a 4-2-3-1 than he ever could in a 4-3-3. So he's one they're supposed to keep an eye on. Not to dismiss Jimmy Somerville for a minute.
Yeah, listen, you never know. Jimmy may show up at Anfield during the summer, but it is a name that's being thrown out there. But it feels to me like it just feels like an easy link at the minute. I think you will get a move, but I'm not too sure Liverpool might be the one. Now, having said that, Liverpool have done stranger things. Archie Gray is getting a mention from Leeds as well.
Shawnee is horny for Archie Gray.
Yeah, Shawnee really likes to look at him. And in fairness, anytime I've seen him kind of play deep in midfield for Leeds. And I've seen him play a lot of right back. And he's Jesus Christ, I think he's about 17 and he looks like a 25-year-old running around the place. He has got everything, in fairness to him. Another one then is the guy at PSV, which is Bakayoko, isn't it?
Johan Bakayoko, yeah.
So apparently, the talk on him was that his name kind of popped up last summer. Yeah. And I want to say Brentford made a move for him.
Yeah, they did,
and I think they might have had a fee agreed, but he turned down the move. At the time, he's a winger. He's a real winger. Winger's winger. He's a man's man. This fella can play off either side. But whenever I've heard him mentioned about possibly coming to Liverpool, it was all about could he be a Salah replacement?
Yeah.
And that was right hand side. I'm not gonna pretend I've seen loads of this guy, but this is another name that's thrown up there. This one feels like a couple have a bit more in it, and the reason being is he's a winger, out and out winger. Does that allow Salah to go somewhere? He's young. You get him at a good price. You progress him. The whole Salah, Mane, what way you want comparison and stuff like that. But what have you seen of him?
Well, I haven't seen much of him. I've only seen a few games, and we were linked to him last summer, and I don't think his numbers were great last summer going into this year. But I think this season he's had a better year. I think he's hit double figures for goals. Not sure, maybe double figures for goals and assists in all comps. So he's taken that step that we spoke of there. When the Manes and the Salahs were ready to take it, and Somerville looks like he could be at that stage as well. I think Bakayoko could be another one that fits into that grouping as well. But I suppose it just depends. It would be easier to get Bakayoko out PSV than it would to get Somerville out in Leeds. Leeds are in dire shite again with the finances.
It was very similar for both because they've mentioned it a few times in the commentary in the championship final, saying I think a couple, well, definitely once, and they mentioned it in the commentary, but at one stage they literally put the camera on the main man at Southampton, the owner, and spoke about how much he'd put in, and then went to the main man at Leeds and was talking about how much he put in, and they're under huge financial pressure to get into the Premier League because of the money they've basically poured into the teams to keep them at the squads at a certain level since he went down.
Leeds have to pay out 73 million this summer on transfer fees, installments.
Yes.
And they're only due to get 3 million or something in. So they're saying, it could be a bit of a hefty one now. Whether that forces their hand into an Archie Gray or a Somerville thing.
Yeah, or
maybe. But it could be that Bakayoko is a better option with a higher ceiling. Again, it's all just guesswork because Slot was interested in Bakayoko or spoke well about him in the Eredivisie, and we were linked to him last summer. So is there a proper link there, or is it just paper talk? And if I was to look at him, I would have always thought, he's a Salah replacement, play off the right. Can he do bits in other places? Who knows? But do we know what the plan is for Salah? Do you move Salah central this summer? It's all up in the air. I think that's the profile of forward we'd be going for. Would be Somerville or Bakayoko. I seen Farage Gallia I don't know if I can pronounce that one right.
Sounded
Of
great.
Napoli
Sounded
being linked.
fantastic.
I do my best.
Oh,
He's been
he's deadly.
the
He's
George and Messi, yeah,
yeah, he's
because
deadly.
apparently Napoli are, maybe looking to.
Listen, I don't know if he'd be deadly for Liverpool. I'd love a go at watching him.
Well, there's links with Luis Diaz again leaving to Barcelona, and I think
They haven't got a washer.
I know, yeah, it's mad. They still get linked with a lot of people, you know what I mean? So if they were, for example, to come in, I don't know how much it'd take to get a Luis Diaz. Do you know? You'd imagine it'd take a fair old poke to get him out of Liverpool.
It'll take at least what you bought him for.
Oh, well, we bought him for 35. I'd say you'd be looking to double that. I'd say you'd be
Yeah, you're
talking
looking at
around the
big
70
money. Yeah,
million mark,
yeah.
to get him out. I don't know if Barca can stretch to that, but if he was to go, Kvaratskhelia could be the great, because he plays on the left side, cutting in
Yeah.
on his right. He could be a great replacement there. But again, is he past the stage that FSG would buy, or that Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes would want? Do we want the next
What
one
age is he?
rather than him? I don't know. He's not that old. I must check it out.
You see, the thing is, I think people, not that they misunderstand this, but they immediately think bargain basement when they think of
No, he's
these
only
lads,
23. He's only
right?
23. He's
They
at the
think of
perfect age.
they think of bargain basement and stuff, but you have to remember, like, we paid 34 million for Mo Salah.
Yeah.
We paid 30 million for Sadio Mane nearly 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? We pay the money if we think the investment is good and we can make something of the investment near the end, or it won't kill us. Do you know the sort of way? And Kev says there, the only thing I'll say on these names so far, can you see us winning the league with these type of players? I think we're past this level. I think we're past this level for him. We're past this level. We've a very good crop coming through already. I agree with that.
Wouldn't disagree.
But the thing is, like, Ben Doak. Let's take Ben Doak as a thing, right? Gone through a couple of injuries. I really, really like him, right? Really, really like him. But when you look beyond Ben Doak, you have Dance, right? Who's a centre forward. So you could look at Dan's being like, could you replace a Nunez or a Jota with a Dance? Maybe. Maybe not now, but maybe in a year or two's time.
Yeah.
Could you replace a Salah with a Ben Doak? Again, maybe. But you need something a bit more proven. And it's a very fine balancing act. It always is when it comes to Liverpool, where you're not going to go out and sign someone better than Mo Salah. Right? Right. My argument, and someone mentioned in the chat, and I'm gonna give them the credit in the chat by searching it here. Robert Maguire, and Jerry has mentioned this player, and it's Kudus off West Ham. Right. I think if I was going out to buy a player tomorrow to replace Mo Salah, he is 100% the one I go for. Because I think he has such an eye for goal. He's so direct. He goes past players. He can see a pass. There's so much to his game. So much to his game that he is the player I would look at. But you have to think of the balancing act here. Like don't get me wrong. If you said to me, "Oh, we're going to sign Bakayoko," right, or whoever, Somerville, whatever it might be, but the reason we're doing that is because we feel they're a good. They can progress to a higher ceiling. But we're doing it because next season Salah's going to go for free, and that's where we go. That's when we go and spend our money on an actual Salah replacement. And I know people are saying, and I'm with Kev, like, the level of these and the level of that. But you have to remember, we're all sitting here thinking probably 2 or 3 players: a centre back, a centre mid, DM, whatever you want to fucking call it, and maybe a forward player. But I'm not too sure on movement up front. I'm not too sure on it. But
It might depend on what goes out,
Bakayoko feels like it could be really done without rocking any boats and giving him a chance to go and progress. But Kudus is an unbelievable footballer. Like, he's a joke of a footballer.
Yeah. The only thing is the disadvantage, and I say this, and I may be a pessimist or whatever, getting them out of Premier League teams is hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's difficult. You're paying absolute top whack to get a Kudus out of West Ham.
I'm wondering, but my thing on Kudus would be, who did he sign him from? Ajax. I'm wondering, has he gone there and there's something in I can leave for a certain amount for a Champions League team.
Yeah.
Because, like, any agent worth their salt going to the likes of a West Ham, a fucking Crystal Palace, a Fulham, any of these teams that hang around that middle part of the league, they say to themselves, I might get one chance here to go, and I need this in my contract. But I'd be very like Kudus moves out of West Ham for me. If not this summer, next, and he gets a mega move.
We're even seeing it with Newcastle, like Bruno Guimaraes has a release clause for this summer or something, doesn't he?
Oh,
Like
100
that
million,
only
yeah.
kicks in. So these players do, you're right, these players when they go to a team that's not a Champions League side, do tend to get something into their their contract to get them out. Clause is 85 million for next summer according to Kevin Ball.
This is for
Kudus
yeah.
Kudus.
And Kev says Elise is better than Kudus, but Rafinha is better than both. If you're looking replacing Mo, but I don't think he leaves. Diaz though, I think he does.
Well, there's talks that Barcelona are going to sell Rafinha to fund the Diaz move.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like Elise. I love him.
I don't like his
My own-
injury record.
Yeah, I don't like his injury record at all. And I think him and Eze have really come to prominence since Roy Hodgson left Palace because they were allowed to play a bit more. They actually played to their strengths. Kev feels if you're going to replace Diaz, you go for Raphael Leao, who's a monster at Milan, or the other fella, the Georgian fella. Yeah.
Well, I think the only way we buy a big name like that is if we sell a Diaz. I don't think a big name comes in without one of them leaving. Do you get me? So we've got the 5 lads there.
Cantersfield's Bowen would be a great fit for as well. I think that ship is going to sail. Bowen's 29 now, isn't he? He's not.
And again, you're not getting them cheap.
Yeah, it's look, the forward line we'll have to wait and see. But I do feel, Pete was fairly adamant on Diaz last night. Going, listen, he's going to go. He wants to go somewhere where there's loads of Colombians, where and Pete knows better than anyone. That there's loads of
Colombians. Pete's in the Colombian scene.
Yeah, he's down there. He's heavy on up to speed on the Colombians.
And that's not anything shady if anyone's thinking that he's married.
No, he's married to a Colombian girl. They live in They live just outside Barcelona. So Anthony Gordon will be quality. I fucking despise him.
Oh, he's good. He's good.
Again, but honestly, I couldn't spend every week trying to defend that prick falling on the ground. I just couldn't.
I thought that as well, and I think this year he's really stepped up. I think he's been class, and I've seen him doing a few interviews recently, and I always thought he was a little prick, and I think I'm starting to like him a bit now. But I wouldn't spend that money on him. I wouldn't spend 100 million. Yeah. If you can get them cheaper than that, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of these. I'm not trying to be a killjoy on spend. But I think the reality is we're not going to go out and spend unless it's for the game changer, like Alisson and Van Dijk. Other than that, we're going to.
But I could see a scenario where they turn around and they go, right, if Diaz is going, and we don't know if he's going. We're just spitballing here, aren't we? Because
it's one that's getting rumoured.
But I could see where they go out and they say, right, if Diaz goes for 60 million, just for argument's sake, right, 60. I think we spent nearly 50 million on him. I think it might have been 45 in around that 50. If we were to get 60 million back off him, which I think is a good return for a 28-year-old, 2 years after his deal, right? It's probably the last big contract of his career, or the biggest contract of his career, probably. I've no issue with Liverpool turning around and go and look for, as much as I don't like him, an Anthony Gordon or the Georgian fella, who I'm just refusing to say his name, right? Kev, I'm going to call him Kev, right? If we can go for Kev on the left wing, and do like a Bakayoko, and you say you're you know what I mean, you're future proofing a bit there. You do have an eye on him on the right wing, but it's going to take a year or two, and that's absolutely fine. But other than that, it's a bit like the transfer window in general. I think Liverpool will only do something big up front if it's triggered by a departure. I can't see them doing something big and going, look at that, and then what are we going to do with all these players? Because we've a decent amount of forwards, and if Dan's comes in, you have 6. You genuinely have 6.
And not only that, Gav, I mean, if we assume that Arne Slot's going to play 4-2-3-1, sorry, them 3 behind the 1, I hate talking like that.
In front of the 2.
In front of the 2, yeah. Them lads, your Szoboszlais and your Harvey Elliott and your Curtis Jones come into play then, do you know what I mean? Because they're going to occupy them. You won't need an out-and-out winger to play there.
But
obviously he likes right-footed players on the right, left foot, players on the left, maybe because his wingers, and maybe I'm wrong on that, but from what I've seen, his wingers get there and pull back crosses. That you could see Szoboszlai doing that on the right. You could see a Harvey Elliott doing it on the left. Do you know what I mean? If he likes that, who knows? But again, I can't see them doing anything up top unless they sell. And as much as there's links with Nunez leaving and things, I think the only realistic one that will go out the door is Diaz. And I wouldn't be against it. And I like Diaz. He's my uncle's favourite player at the moment. But as Kev said, he's got 2 years left on his deal. He's 28 years old. His numbers aren't great. And anyway, they're not bad. They're not that far off Saka's numbers, for example. But they're not going to get better, if you get me. Like, I think at best he stays the same. He stays at par. And do we need to get someone in there that's going to beat them numbers? So yeah, I wouldn't be against selling them. But if they don't, I don't think we bring one in. I think we go with what we have. And it'll be interesting to see what he does with the likes of Mohamed Salah. Does he go and play central? Does he stay on the right? Doesn't have the pace to beat him anymore. Does he put him in as a number 10? Who knows? But again, until Slot's in there and we start seeing or hearing his actual ideas, these things will become a lot clearer.
Yeah, and it's we will. I think this is a pre-season. Like, don't get me wrong, when pre-seasons come along, I kind of, we're in America. I'll turn on the game. It's on a bleeding 2 in the morning, and I kind of, you're half wandering and now doing bits, whatever. But this is one I'm really gonna watch for systems and where he starts, because I'm really interested in the whole what he does with Szoboszlai. I'm really interested in what he does with him. Where does he put him? Does he put him in the 10 if he goes 4-2-3-1? But the thing is, I think his 4-3-3 is different to Klopp's. I don't think his 4-3-3 is as hectic as Klopp's. I think he looks to win the ball back, but I think he looks to look after the ball more. So it's not as hectic, but it'll be interesting. We could absolutely barrel out on the first day of the season 4-3-3. And it could be literally the same 11 to finish last season, and we're going, what? But
what's going on here?
But we're playing it different. We might be a little bit more conservative in going after the ball or whatever it might be.
Well, a lot of the things I've heard about Slot and read and listened to on podcasts, from people in the Eredivisie that watch him, is that he loves Klopp and he also loves Guardiola, and that he's a mixture of both of them. So it's the high press, win the ball high up the field like Klopp, but then it is a more patient build-up like Guardiola. So who knows? And as you say, until we see that sort of pre-season and see what his thinking is, as I said, that'll make things a lot clearer. Yeah. Will we do business early with the fact that there's international tournaments on? I don't know.
Hard to do.
Yeah, there's not much time,
especially at the level you might be looking at. Yeah. Chris reckons the 3 American friendlies are a 12:30 kickoff at night, obviously, or early in the morning. Not too bad, which isn't bad. It isn't bad. Yeah. Ashley says, I think the game changer money needs to be on a centre back this summer. I think a lot of people agree with that, or may argue with the defensive midfielder sort of thing. And I think the defensive midfielder thing is coming because they feel he might play a 2 in there, and it'll be one of a new DM and whoever of all them midfielders. I think people are writing off Endo a little bit too much, but that's just me. I think
I'd keep Endo as a squad option. You're not going to get much money off him, and he's not on big wages.
Yeah.
And if you do bring in a player, so let's say he goes with a 4-3-3. He doesn't rock the boat, goes with a 4-3-3. I still think we could upgrade on Endo, and we looked better when Endo was in there with McAllister and whoever else was beside him, Harvey Elliott at the end of the season as it was. There's no harm. I think if you bring in a big game changer in there as a number 6, that could be a big one to do. But I'd still keep Endo because you can throw him in. If you do switch to a 2 and you want to really shut up shop, you can put Endo in there. He has options that others don't have in the squad.
He kind of has that feel of a Milner role, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's 30 years of age, right? And he's not an old man, but he kind of has that, like, he can do it too. He can play as a deep line midfielder. He could go and play right back for you. He kind of has that feel off him, and that's absolutely fine. You always look to progress. I just think I'm listening to some people and they're just discarding them altogether. Let's be honest. I've no issue if someone comes in and says, "Listen, see that DM? He's fucking amazing. We're gonna go and get him." I'm not gonna sit and go, "Oh, what about Endo?" I'm just saying. I think to have 2 players that like to play that 6 in there in the squad, I think is big, because I don't think Jones likes doing it.
No,
I don't in particular think McAllister likes doing it. You know,
no.
but in fairness, when McAllister plays for Argentina, he does quite sit deep, and he has the lunatic of Atletico Madrid. Yeah,
Rodrigo to Paul, and fell off Chelsea, Enzo
yeah,
Fernandez.
yeah. So he kind of has them two ahead of him, you know, that sort of way. But if Liverpool's one feels like you just sit there, you know, that sort
Yeah.
of way. But
But if you look
when
at Arsenal, right, Arsenal made a transformative signing in Declan Rice last summer, 100 million. And halfway through the season, they end up bringing in a Jorginho to actually do the sitting and let him get
yeah,
forward again, you know. So that
yeah,
could be what Liverpool think as well, you know,
yeah.
is do you bring in a player and then Endo is there as an option to even shore
That's
things up,
because,
up more.
but that comes back to the point on Rice, and I've always said about Rice. Rice isn't a natural number 6
Yeah.
on his own. He's great in it too. Put him aside a
Yeah.
Souček, put him aside a Party or a
Even
Jorginho.
a
I think he's
Calvin
absolutely
Phillips as
fine.
well.
But what happens is he he's not. I don't think he's quick enough on the ball or create enough on the ball at the 6th position
Mm.
at the moment. I think he will progress into that. I think he's shown big steps this season, but he actually becomes a different player for Arsenal when you say to him, "Listen, you just patrol that side of the pitch from a little bit further up," and he excels in it, because what he done at West Ham was he had him and Souček, and Souček just went, "I look after everything over here, and you look after everything over there, and we'll go from the edge of our box to the edge of their box, and that's my alley, you know, that's my
Yeah.
lane," and he was brilliant, and he could develop into a really good number 6, but I think watch him for England when he plays as a 6. He's he might as well not be there, because
Yeah.
he doesn't make the angles for his centre halves. That's his biggest problem. He doesn't actually quickly enough get into position.
Mm.
And Arsenal probably spotted that and went, you know what? He's actually quite a creative player if you get him a bit more forward. And he was, in fairness.
Yeah.
But the centre back stuff, because Ashley's mentioned that and loads of people have mentioned it. And, you know, you're seeing this guy Yoro being mentioned, and
Yeah.
you're seeing
We spoke about
Levi
it.
Caldwell's names come up again. I'm sure there's more. But centre half was, I think it's a tricky one.
I'd go big.
If you
I'd
go
go
big though,
I'd go big.
you're probably telling Kanate,
Yeah.
Gomez, and Kwanzaa that you're all dropping a rung here. This fella's coming in.
Yeah. I would be saying to Kwanzaa, listen, you're okay. You done us a solid, but we're bringing in someone else as well. And Virgil's not getting any younger. And look, Jarrell, you've had a breakthrough season here, and next year will be better for you. But Konate, and I'm a huge Konate fan, his availability is just not good enough. I would replace him. And I think he's our sort of, I'd have him ahead of Kwanzaa every day of the week. Do you know what I mean? But he's just not fit. He's just not fit enough. And I'd replace him. I'd replace him out of the squad now. I don't think he's going. Look, Matip often had these seasons where injured, and the next season he'd be fine. And maybe Konate has that bounce back season next year. But I don't know. I think it's risky. I think we've spent so long sweating on the fitness of centre backs, whether it be Matip or Joe Gomez. You know, we're always going into a season with 4 centre backs and 2 of them are question marks.
Yeah,
This season will be the same if we don't do something at centre back. So we'd
yeah,
go in with Van Dijk, who was getting not to the end of his career, but he's older and he's different. And Kwanzaa beside him, who's the beginning of his career and he's younger. And if he makes a mistake like he did at Manchester United and he bounced back from it, in fairness to the young fella, I think that's a risk. I think we need to sign somebody, and if it's putting Konate's nose out of joint, so be it. I think Joe Gomez will be told, you're just covering. That's going to be your role. Whether you like that or not, that's going to be
yeah,
your role from now on. And Kwanzaa, we still believe in you. We have all the faith in the world in you. But we need to get someone in there to lift that load as well. With the idea that in 3 years' time, Kwanzaa plus this other player will be the centre back pairing. Do you know
yeah.
what I mean?
I actually think Joe Gomez starts to feel like the odd man out, no matter what way you look at
Yeah.
this. He spent an. I don't think he plays a centre half once for
Doesn't
Liverpool
play
this season.
centre back at all.
And you've seen him go right back, you've seen him go left back. He actually does one game in the deepest
He's
midfield
done a
role, doesn't he?
few. He's done a couple of times in centre mid, didn't he? Forest, I think he done Forest
Yeah,
away.
Forest away, and one before that as well. Actually,
Yeah.
he does deep line. It was a game at Anfield. He done the same, but he feels like the odd man out. So for me, there's no issue, I think, with telling Jarell Quansah, listen, you've been brilliant this season. But I've said it, no matter how good Quansah is this season, you cannot go into next season. And nothing against him, but you can't go into next season for me and saying, Jarell Quansah, you're going to be, basically, you're going
We
to...
want 30 starts.
If we go with... If we do nothing here,
Yeah.
and we go Joe Gomez, Quansah, Konate, Van Dijk, right? You're basically telling Quansah, if he's in favour, that you're going to start 25 Premier League games this season, realistically, because Konate's injury record, right? And then because of that, the games come thick and fast. You're going to play Champions League. I don't think it's fair to ask him to play, maybe not the amount of games. He's probably fine to play the amount of games, but to put the nail of Liverpool season of a new manager onto Jarell Quansah, I don't think it's good for anyone. I just don't think it's good for anyone. So
and if Van Dijk goes down injured, and Quansah is then your fucking main centre back.
Yeah, you see, this is what I would do. And I don't know if you have any names you can throw me. I would sign a right-footed centre-back that plays on the left-hand side. That's what I would do. I think people's obsession with they have to be left-footed to replace Van Dijk is nonsense. Van Dijk is right-footed. Right? Yeah. The vast majority of right centre-backs or left centre-backs that play with their right foot, that's the vast majority of them. There's very few out-and-out left-footed centre-backs out there. Think about it. They just aren't. Do you know what I mean? And the funny thing is that most right-footed centre-backs prefer to play on the left. Right? Because it stops them getting dragged down into channels. They like to literally position themselves where people come onto their right foot and stuff like that. So that's what I would do. Now, the names that are out there at the moment, early doors, is this young lad, Euro.
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
He's too young. I think he's too young.
He's
going to be a superstar.
Lille, is that who he's at?
He's at Lille, but Real Madrid want him and PSG want him.
Yeah.
And he really has broken through this year. And by all accounts, he's going to be a superstar. But in my opinion, we're not a Real Madrid or a PSG who can throw money at a player and leave him parked there. We need, in my opinion, a player that starts straight away for us. And I don't know if Lenny Oro is that. I don't know if he needs a bit of time. A lot of people are saying William Pacho in the chat. I don't think he's good enough either, to be honest, to start for us immediately. And there's a lot of money. There was talks of buying him off Eintracht Frankfurt and sending him back on loan. I mean,
how much sense does that make, though?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
The other one that always gets mentioned is Hincapié off Leverkusen. But
yeah,
apparently the word over Leverkusen is that in order to get Alonso to stay and commit, the Leverkusen chairman or ownership have told him we will not sell any of your big players. Yeah. We look to add to this squad. So maybe that one's out the door. But is there any other names centre back at the moment that's been, apart from the likes of Euro and Levi
Colwill getting mentioned, and then people, I've seen Ignacio being rehashed, but I thought that was just linking because of the Amarin links. You know what I mean? People are saying, Ignacio, but he's always been linked. You know what I mean? And alongside Hincapié, it was a left-sided centre back who could also play left back, and maybe they look at something like that. Who else was being linked?
I don't think they do.
Hertroide off PSV, Feyenoord, who sort of plays right back but can play centre back. He's over 6 foot tall. Maybe he wants to bring him with him. Do you know what I mean? And say, right, he can play full back, he can play centre back, he can play defensive midfield if he need it. Maybe he looks for that utility type of player, but he's one that he might bring in and say, yeah, he'll start alongside Van Dijk with Quansah in behind him. I just think it's so hard to guess what we're going to do. Do you know what I mean? Until we know what Arne Slot wants and what he expects from his players. For example, right, Sepp Vandenberg had an excellent loans period at Mainz, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday there was all talks of 5 million option to buy him in the contract. That seemed to be poo-poo today because the talk is now 20 million to get him. Maybe he wants to have a look at Sepp Vandenberg. Do you know what I mean? To be an option in the squad, and Slot doesn't want to sell him. You know what I mean? So we obviously mightn't get a say in that. If someone offers 20 million, well then he'd be sold, and that'll be the end of it. But maybe it is an internal fix. I'm not talking about on that Phillips or the Reece Williams or any of them, but maybe he looks at Vandenberg and thinks, look, he was good in Germany. We can keep him and do a solid for us. Someone, Jerry's mentioning Calafiori in the chat. I think he's on his way to Juventus with Thiago Motta. Left foot centre back from Bologna. I'm pretty sure I read that he was going to Juventus.
Dude, there's a couple there as well. Like, and to be honest with you, if everything happens at this club when that you think is going to happen, they'll have no players left. But when you look at it, isn't it Anderson and Mark Guy at Palace? We were linked with Guy last summer. He actually had a bad injury this year.
He did, yeah.
He's come back in late in the season. But Anderson always seems to be very impressive when you see him as well. And, you know, when you look at the Premier League, there's a couple of centre-halves at Fulham there. I think one of them's going on a free to Newcastle.
Well, he's going Towson, he's on a free. Newcastle look to have him signed up, and they're looking to get Lloyd Kelly as well off Bournemouth. On a free as well. So that's where they're doing their business. A lot of free transfers. Shani came out with a great shout the other night about Max Kilman, you know what I mean? And maybe you can get yourself a player like that. I'm not sure.
But the thing is, like, going back to Kev's point from earlier, you know, are we above this level? Like, are we? I know we like Kilman and he does well at Wolves and stuff like that. But
he'd be a fourth choice option, really.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Are we going in big here, or are we going in where we improve? You know, like I've said it, the manager or the people that are going to, well, I'm going to call him the manager, but the manager and the people above him, Richard Hughes in particular, they basically have two holes in the squad off the bat in the Matip and Thiago team, right? So they can go and do that. And I filled the squad in, but it depends what level they want to fill it at. Do they look and go, no, we have faith in Kanate, we see Kwanzaa coming up, Virgil's there, you know, Virgil seems to, he said he's a year left, he's committed, blah 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 blah. You know, you know what, I kind of, you know, let that go over my head a little bit. But it depends what level we're going in here. Are we going in to supplement centre back, or are we going in to make a statement at centre back? And when you look at it, someone said the other night, Kanate, I love Kanate. I absolutely love everything about him. But he's averaged 15 league starts a season for the last 3 seasons. It's not
good enough. It doesn't matter. He is, in my opinion, he's one of the best centre backs in Europe, and he's fit, he's fast, he's strong, he's good in the tackle, wins all his duels, whether they're on the ground or in the air, covers an awful lot for Trent when Trent is going forward. He's just not available enough, Gav, and that's why I would, and to me, it doesn't have to be a £70 million replacement. You know, I think Yaman here tried it, is ticking all the boxes. I think that's the one he goes for. He's 23. I've just had a look there. He's 23 years old. He's 6'1", plays in multiple positions, and Slot has him at final. Now, there's always red flags when a manager's going back to his old club, but he's playing for the Dutch national team, familiar with Van Dijk. You know, I just think it makes a lot of sense, and he's one who I could see coming in and starting immediately. And is young enough that you can say, right, him and Kwanzaa, you could say in 2 years, could be the partnership going forward. Just out of all the other options that are out there, Levi Colwill is a great option, but you're not going to get him cheap. Even people saying, like, Chelsea are going to have to sell and they're going to do this and that.
They're just selling. They're not going to sell hotels and gaffs to themselves and all. Like, you know what I mean?
We won't get a good deal out of them.
No, we won't. Where's the Lit playing? Is he with Bayern?
He's at Bayern, yeah, and he's sort of in and out of favour, but who knows what Vincent Kompany, I forgot he was going there, who knows what Vincent Kompany thinks and what, you know, the Lick might be in favour with him, you know, so I think there's so much it's a managerial carousel at now. I see Graham Potter's been linked on back to Brighton, Chelsea are bringing in Enzo Maresca.
That's mental, but listen, you know, we'll get to that on Thursday night, and we'll definitely get to it on Friday night, because Friday night show is usually just going to be a rundown of the big stories from the week. It's not a preview of anything or looking at it. It's going to be literally what happened this week. Isn't that mad? Sort of show. We're going to see how that goes. So into midfield, because there's a couple of names before we finish up. There's been a couple of names, and we're going to do this show possibly every Tuesday throughout the summer, unless something big breaks and we'll have to do another transfer show. But we're going to just keep looking at names that are linked, and if the constant link is there, we go back to them. But and if you like the style of the show, let us know. If you don't like the style of the show, tell us. Tell us in the live chat now or tell us afterwards. But we're trying to bring you as many member shows as we can, and we're trying to talk about what you are all talking about, because that's, we know what you're talking about. We see it in the likes of the Telegram group and stuff. But Ashley says Chelsea are fully off their rocker. Do you know what I really like about that is Ashley's literally become like a Dublin person after spending like a month and a half or 2 months doing shows.
Yeah.
Like, off our rocker is just so Dublin, like, you know what I mean? But into midfield, because there's names being mentioned there. I think on Sunday night show was like Joe Gomez was being mentioned. I see is it a Varela? Is that his name from
Varela of Porto?
Porto.
Yeah.
There's quite a few names banging around.
Ederson.
Yeah, and someone said earlier, when would the Chiomeni thing fucking start again, which is fair.
Well, I've seen that sort of getting a roll out in places as well.
Yeah, and then you have the likes of Coop Miners is being mentioned, but I think that's just flavour of the month stuff because of the the Europa League final and stuff like that. Coop Miners was looked at apparently by Liverpool last year, but
Coop Miners was Slot's captain, wasn't he? As at Alkmaar, I think. Maybe
was he? Yeah, but so there's gonna be links there as well. But in midfield, and it seems to be a defensive midfield that everyone's kind of falling over. What's the names there?
So Ederson seems to be the one that people like because he's a tackling machine. You know, Ugarte is getting a lot of talk as well, but I think that may be just from the fan base because they like him. Do you know what I mean? But again, what does Slot want from his number 6? Does he want the ball player or does he want the ball winner? You know what I mean? Predominantly a ball player, predominantly a ball winner. He'd like both. So it'll be interesting to see, what we go for. So Ederson, for me, is a good player at Atalanta. He looked good against it. Chris Brack says there, he looked good against us, and in the final he did, and he's doing well over there. But I don't think he's a great passer of the ball. He's not bad. I just don't think he's a great passer of the ball. So is he? Are we just going? And Ugarte is the same, by the way, with a PSG. Like, so they're ball winners and they'll start moves off. That could be ideally what he looks for. But I just look at the final team and I see Mats Weaver playing in there, and to me, Mats Weaver's a controller of a defensive midfielder in the Frankie de Jong mould. Quinton Timber playing in there beside him is a, people that slap me down, as a genuine Wijnaldum type of player. A bit of a up and down, does a bit of everything. Good player.
I think we've loads of up and downers.
Yeah, we've fucking stacked them. Do you know what I mean? We've a stack of them. So what does he want?
You're going back to the if you were to just draw a simple comparison, and look, there's people out there that are going to write long pieces on this and tell you how they know exactly what this fella's going to do, and again, they'll be lying to you. But Max Weaver, is that what you call him?
Mats Weaver, yeah.
Mats Weaver, sorry. A controller in midfield. Is that somebody that just pops it off all the time? Is he creative? Does he move with the ball, or is he all about a passing range? Is he when I think of someone, a controller in midfield, I'm thinking, is he a Claude Makelele or is he a Xavi Alonso? One breaks it up and moves a simple, one as a range. What is he?
Well, you see, the thing is with Mats Weaver, I think he's 6'2", so he's big. You know what I mean? He's rangy. He's a controller. He's not a ball winner. He's a controlling player, a passer that does his play from there. And if you play with one of them, you need a couple of dogs in there with him. Now, I think if we were to believe that it's going to be McAllister plus this new 6 playing in a double pivot, then I think we may need someone of the physical stature of a Weaver that's over 6 foot, rather than a smaller midfielder like Ugarte or like maybe Ederson. Although Ederson is good. Ederson would be a good choice.
You're seeing Zubamendi being mentioned in the
Zubamendi, gets a lot of love as well. Jerry is saying there, Martin Frendrup has serious defensive numbers, limited on the ball though. Yeah, and you see that's exactly it. We don't know what he wants. Again, Ashley in there, I'm not sure we have coverage to give them time. But sell Bajetic, I think we need someone for the now. I mean, nobody is saying to sell. Like, Bajcetic could be the one, but he's not. I agree, he's not ready now. Bajcetic is a player that you look at and you can probably bring him in, but you're not going to start the season with him as your
No, you see, this is
defensive anchor,
like
your midfield
I,
anchor.
I love Bajcetic. I think he's a fantastic
Yeah,
footballer. I love everything.
he'll be brilliant. Yeah,
He's very graceful on the ball. He's not afraid to chase, put in a tackle. You know, he's still very young. But I'm always looking at the progression, right, and planning. You know, the sort of way. And we're talking about Endo a few minutes ago, and going, he has a bang of Milner roll off him that may come. But I'm looking at it then, going, right, if you tell me that we have, let's just pop a name out there, Zubamendi, right?
yeah,
And we have and I don't know if Zubamendi signs with Liverpool, but if we have him and we've Endo and a Bajcetic, I now know who the number one is,
yeah.
who can cover the bit positions, and who's the heir to the throne. But while becoming the heir to the throne, you're able to throw him in games and play him as well. Do you know what I mean? Because let's be honest about it, we all have short memories. But genuinely, before Bajcetic got injured, he was fucking brilliant in the Liverpool midfield.
Yeah. And he looked ideal to what we would want because he's a good passing range. He snaps into tackles. He's 6 foot plus, so he's not going to be intimidated. Decent in the air. He has it all, but he's had a whole year out injured. You know what I mean? So we need Bajcetic to go out there and sort of maybe either get a loan move and develop somewhere, which I think is very, very risky.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very risky with a loan.
So
I think
like,
you could send them somewhere like Carvalho went out to Leipzig and didn't get a fucking sniff. Do you know what I mean? You have to be careful where you send these players to, or you keep them in there and you just drip them back into form,
yeah,
back into game time.
I think if Bajcetic doesn't have that period of time where I think he's brilliant for Liverpool. I think if he doesn't have that, we're looking going, he's 18, he's really good. Don't loan him, let him progress. But because he's had that period in the Liverpool team, people are hungry for more. And
Yeah.
what's the best way to get him in now? Whereas, like, I don't think he's been injured for a year. I think he's been injured for this period of time, and I think they went, listen, the best thing for you to do is write off this fucking season. You might get a few minutes near the end, which he does against Spurs, right? But literally, we're writing this season off. You're a young player. And this season is all about saying to him, listen, this is where you build yourself back up. This is where we put the strength and conditioning and the plan from last year into place now, where we do it, selectively over this season. And yeah, a new manager comes in, but the new manager's going to come in and go, what's going on with him? Well, this is what we've done with him. This is what we'd like to do with him. Great. Do you know what I mean? You know more about him than I do. Do you know the sort of way? So, I don't think a manager's going to come in and go, no, he's fucking playing every week. Or no, I want him out on loan. So to see, I think it even makes it more important if you want to bring in a defence midfielder to go big on it. Go big on it.
Yeah.
I think it takes the strain off the squad overall. I think it takes the strain off Endo. And I think it takes the strain off Bajcetic in that progression to be where he wants to be in maybe a year, 18 months' time. That's where I would be on it. But Zubamendi's being mentioned, your man Ederson's being mentioned, you've seen Coop Miner's being mentioned, Barella off Porto. There's loads of names floating around there. But really, Keith, I'd be very surprised if we're talking about probably 80% of them in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just a bit of a mad season at the moment, and not for Liverpool, just being transfer silly season. You're going to see names mentioned here, there, and everywhere. And until we know, look, Arne Slot at Feyenoord plays young players. He's not afraid to play young players, and maybe it is, Bajcetic. Maybe Ben Doak has a future, at the moment, and we just don't know. Kev O'Sullivan's putting some mad shite in there. Klopp remains a club ambassador.
Emma is watching this. I think he's watching the Klopp thing at the MLS Arena.
Yeah.
And apparently Klopp will remain our club ambassador and will be involved in the Liverpool Foundation going forward. This was announced at tonight's event. I don't know if that's live. Is that live on the TV tonight?
I don't know.
Emma probably has a bleeding weird stream. Like, Emma loves the fucking content.
He does a content groupie, isn't he?
Yeah.
In fairness to him.
Sorry, it come up here. Tonight it was announced that Klopp is still going to be an ambassador of Liverpool and that he will still be involved with the foundation. So that's he's remaining as a club ambassador. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, sorry, where were you? Midfields.
No, I just
Before
think,
Kev fucking distracted you with
yeah,
all
fuck
that
you,
messing.
Kev. I just think it's so up in the air what's going to happen, because Jerry says there, Bobby Clark has a big future too.
Yeah.
These young players, when you bring in a slot, these young players are suddenly getting a chance. They're not
Yeah. And he
just
is
going to be
renowned, isn't he?
frozen out. Yeah,
Am I right in saying he's renowned for bringing these players in and improving players rather than just going, you're not good enough, I need someone better.
yeah, sure.
He likes to persevere with these players, but
He got a lad in off Newcastle at Feyenoord. I had to Google him here. Yankubin Minte, right? A Gambian player, a winger, on loan from Newcastle, 19 years old. And he's played 27 games for Feyenoord on loan and scored 10 goals.
okay.
Look, I never heard of him. That doesn't mean he's not a good player, and I'm not some oracle on fucking Newcastle's young players or anything like that. But you're bringing in a player. We spoke about Carvalho going to Leipzig, and it's so hard to break in and get. Like, he got this kid, brought him in, played him, got the benefit of it. So you could have a lot of these lads. Maybe we're thinking it's going to be 6 signings, 7 signings. Maybe it's 2 signings. It's a
Yeah, I
defender and
don't
it's a midfield player.
I honestly think if he goes beyond 4, I think it's a huge surprise.
Yeah,
And I think 2 will come in, and I think a third one will come in depending on a
in the
sale,
next.
maybe up front.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't. I'm starting to think that myself.
That's where
Now,
I
I
am on
think.
it. That's where I am on it. But do you know what? We're going to leave it there because we've both committed to. We think it'll be 2, and possibly 3 if one leaves. Now that'll change when we get. If you're back here next week, I don't know who's going to be on next Tuesday, but this is what we want to do. We want to do these shows every week. What names are out there? Are they continuing to be linked? Who's linking them? Not who's linking them. I genuinely I couldn't give fucking anyone a mention that's fucking linking them. But the names are out there. I just like talking about players and learning a bit more because I'm lazy when it comes to watching football now. It's all about Liverpool. But
But
that's
there'll
what
be
we're
so
going
many
to.
lazy links as well.
Yeah, like I've seen all sorts of bleeding stuff like, and these people love doing an mock up of them in the jersey, don't they?
Yeah.
It's mad stuff like.
I seen
Um,
today Danny Olmo getting a link off Leipzig, and I'm like, he's not even young anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and I had a look. He's 26, 27 in May. Oh no, he should turn
Danny
26.
Olmo's only 26.
Yeah, he's
He's
26, but
fucking
he
around
got
about
four
20 years, that
goals,
fella.
4 goals and 5 assists for Leipzig this season, but only played 21 matches. Now that to me doesn't scream of, a game changer. So I wouldn't be rushing
Mm,
out to bring him in.
yeah.
Brahim Diaz.
Oh, Keith's frozen. Jesus. Just a quick one. Before we go, James Trafford to replace Kelleher, who's on the way out. I'd be surprised at that. Like, James Trafford has left Man City, hasn't he? To go to. He leaves Man City to go to Burnley. He's number 1 there for a while. I think he ends up getting dropped throughout the season. To go back there, Keith's back, but he's definitely going to drop out and then come back in because that's what he does when the reaction isn't happening. But I can't understand why he would leave Man City to go to Burnley, be more or less number 1 there, and then to go to Liverpool and be number 2. It's a bit of a weird one, and I don't know how good he is. I think, wasn't he the goalkeeper for England under 21s in that Euros? I think he was. So yeah, look, I don't know anything on the James Trafford stuff, but I'd be a bit wary of that. I'd be a bit wary of it. But
Wouldn't be
look,
into him.
let us know. Hit the like button if you've liked tonight or if you're in here. We will be back, I'd say, next Tuesday, talking more transfers. Tomorrow night, it's a member show. Ask any question you want, any range, sport, fucking holidays, food, drink, TV programs, films, weird things that come into your head. Ask them tomorrow night. Myself, Robbie and Ashley are on. And Thursday night, we're going to do some transfers from around the league because there's loads of players being linked and there's managers going all over the shop. So we will have a conversation on that. And then on Friday, we will look back at the sporting or the footballing week, the big stories from it. Because we're not really covering stories at the moment, we're covering kind of transfers Tuesday and Thursday. So we'll give ourselves Friday to talk about the big ones. Like that fella going to the Chelsea is just mad, like mad. Like, first of all, they're mad, and he's fucking completely mad.
I can understand why he wants out of Leicester, in fairness.
Well, that their
They have a
financial
deduction made
stuff
for
and
them.
deduction coming. But he's going into a club there that are all over the place, and they will literally chew him up and spit him out in 6 months. But then again, he probably get 10 million out the back of it. So there you go.
Not a bad gig.
Yeah, there you go. No, I did. What would you? I talked to Todd Bowley for 6 months. There you go. Next Level says, great first show as a new member. Great job, guys. Thanks a million for getting a membership. Happy days. And like I said, throughout the summer, the vast majority, I would say 80% of our shows are going to be for members. We do release them the next day for people to listen and download, but for you to get the access to comment on here and give your opinions and have them read out and everything else, it's going to be a lot of member shows. I think Thursdays is going to be on the free list, and that's what we're going to do over the summer and possibly into next season, to be fair. So that's where we are. So yeah, anything else before we go, Keith?
No. That was good. Just to talk, like I said, we love talking shit about transfers. Everyone does. You always get a bit giddy, but it's the gun is in the holster at the moment. It's not being pulled yet because we just don't know what's going to happen. So we'll enjoy all the links as they come and go. But I think it's going to be a quiet one.
I think it's going to be a quiet one-ish. But I tell you something. I think Sky are going to have a lovely fucking time on the 31st of August. Because I'd say, if you remember, like there's literally 4 weeks between the Euros ending and the Premier League starting back. Kev asked, any quizzes lined up? Not as yet. But I'm sure I can rope one of the boys into doing a Liverpool one. I'll do one, but I only agree to host one if another fella agrees to do one the following week.
You get your payback.
Yeah,
it's only fair. It's only fair.
That's it. Right, that has been it. 56 minutes, all football tonight, I think. All football. So the percentages of football were massively up tonight, so we shouldn't get any complaints. Although we didn't get any complaints about last night, and there was an awful lot of mess going on. Like Marco van Basten. Did you listen?
No, I didn't, but I know who was on, so you know.
But listen, we ended up with I'll just tell you this bit. We ended up with Marco van Basten on a screen during doing overhead kicks in his back garden during Slott's first press conference as Liverpool manager. So that's the road we went down.
There you go. I can understand that.
Yeah, seems fairly normal. Yeah. I did mention the podcast me and you were going to start this summer, but we can't mention it. We just can't mention it.
No,
we get into too much trouble.
Can never mention it.
Yeah, we came up with this idea about 6 points in, but it was only about 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
and it was a great idea at the time, but now it's not. We're not going ahead with
it. It'd be a good idea in the 70s, maybe, but not now.
Yeah, no, there's too many snowflakes out there now for that podcast, isn't there? Just too many. Oh, Steve McLaren was on translator duties as well. While I keep going to say Jurgen Klopp, while Arne Slot was talking perfectly good English, Steve McLaren was sitting beside him putting a Dutch twang on
Dutch spin on things.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's what was going on. It was great crack. Right, we're gonna go. That's nearly an hour. We're the best boys. We will talk to you tomorrow at 10 p.m. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being members. And if you want to become a member, get onto our YouTube channel, hit join. It's $3.99 a month, and loads of our shows are going to be for members moving forward. And like I said, everyone gets to download the following day, but if you want to get the interaction and everything else like that, come on, support us. It really helps us. That's it. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.